November 1620. The Mayflower drops anchor off the coast of Massachusetts, and the people already living on that coast notice something about the newcomers almost immediately: the smell. These strangers had crossed an ocean in clothes they never washed, on bodies they almost never bathed, because in the Europe they came from, bathing was considered dangerous. Undressing to wash? Immoral. And here's what they never taught you in school: the people the colonists called uncivilized bathed every single day, in rivers, in winter, without 1 bar of soap or 1 inch of plumbing. Entire nations kept a standard of cleanliness that made Europe look filthy. One native man who had seen Europe with his own eyes was so disturbed, he launched a personal campaign to teach the newcomers to bathe. He failed, and his story ends with a twist so cruel it will reframe this entire video. But that comes later. First, how do you actually stay clean with nothing but plants, water, smoke, and discipline? And what did people use before toilet paper existed? If you want the history nobody taught you, subscribe. Every week we uncover another piece of ingenuity the modern world forgot it borrowed. In the next 20 minutes, a desert root that foams into real lather, confirmed by modern chemistry. A remedy Europeans mocked for 3 centuries, until a lab proved it works. And the honest answer to the toilet paper question. This system worked for thousands of years. Pieces of it are in your bathroom right now. Picture a woman we'll call Chumani, a Lakota mother on the northern plains, sometime in the early 1800s. Before the sun is fully up, she walks to the river. The water is cold enough to hurt. She goes in anyway, because for her, and for most of the peoples of this continent, this was not remarkable. It was the day's first act. The historical record on this is not vague. When the Pilgrims met the Wampanoag in New England, the contrast was immediate and mutual. The colonists were baffled by people who stripped and washed daily. These were Europeans who believed submerging the body in water was unhealthy. Legend even claims the King of France took 3 baths in his entire life. Whether or not that's literally true, historians confirm the reality behind it. Full-body bathing in Western Europe stayed rare into the 1700s. The Wampanoag, for their part, were disgusted by people who didn't wash. And it went deeper than bathing. Native observers reportedly found one European habit especially revolting: the handkerchief. Think about it from their side. These strangers would blow their nose into a piece of cloth and then put it back in their pocket. They carried it around all day. Roger Williams, the founder of Rhode Island, who lived among the Narragansett and published the first English study of their language in 1643, put the whole reversal into verse. He wrote that the courteous pagan shall condemn uncourteous Englishmen, and told his fellow colonists, "Boast not proud English of thy birth and blood. Thy brother Indian is by birth as good." That is a colonist, writing in 1643, telling other colonists that the people they called savages had better manners. But daily washing was never only about dirt. Across many nations, water carried meaning. Bathing kept the body in right relation with the community, with the land, with the spirit world. Cleanliness wasn't a chore squeezed in before work. It was closer to a discipline, a form of respect, and it was about to get more sophisticated, because a cold river gets you clean. But these nations also had soap. It just didn't come from a factory. It grew out of the ground. In the deserts and plains of the southwest grows a spiked plant with sword-like leaves. The Spanish would later name one variety soap tree. The Navajo, the Hopi, the Apache, and the Pueblo peoples had known its secret for far longer. Yucca, dig up the root, peel it, pound it into pulp, add water, now whip it, and watch something happen that shouldn't be possible without a chemist. Real, white, foaming lather. This isn't folklore exaggerating. Yucca roots are loaded with compounds called saponins, natural surfactant molecules, with one end that grabs water and one end that grabs oil and dirt. That is, chemically, the same job description as modern detergent. The US Forest Service itself documents yucca root as producing a good soap or shampoo. Indigenous chemists figured this out centuries before Europe understood why soap even works. And they didn't stop at one plant. Soap berry, soap weed, powdered clay worked into cleansing mud baths. Different regions, different plants, same discovery, made independently across a continent. But here's the detail that separates this from a survival trick. Among the Navajo and Hopi, washing hair with yucca suds wasn't just grooming, it was ceremony. Yucca, washing marked weddings, initiations, moments when a person crossed from one stage of life into another. To this day, in some communities, it still does. The shampoo was sacred. On Chumani's plains, a cousin of the same plant, soapweed yucca, grew wild across the prairie. Her people used it the same way: hair, skin, even washing hides and clothing. So a bath and soap, skin clean, hair clean. But the deepest clean in Native America didn't happen in a river at all. It happened in the dark, inside a dome of willow branches, in heat that pushed the body to its edge. From the outside, it doesn't look like much. A low dome among the Lakota, traditionally framed from 16 young willow saplings, covered in hides until no light gets through. Outside, a fire pit where stones heat until they glow. The stones are carried in. The door closes, total darkness. Then water hits the rock and the lodge fills with searing steam. The Lakota call this rite inipi. The word is often translated to live again. Understand what this was and what it wasn't. Yes, sweating opens the pores and scours the skin. Steam bathing is one of the oldest deep cleaning technologies humans have ever built, and versions of the sweat lodge existed among many nations, from the Blackfoot to the Ojibwe to the Navajo. As physical hygiene, it worked. But for the Lakota, inipi is one of the 7 sacred rites, and it was never merely a bath. It was purification in the fullest sense. Body, mind, and spirit cleansed together. Before a vision quest, before a great undertaking, before other ceremonies. First, the lodge. Prayers inside called on earth, water, fire, and air. The door was opened 4 times during the rite. A person crawled out of the darkness and heat the way they entered the world, renewed. Notice the pattern forming. Everywhere we look in this system, the practical and the sacred are the same act. The bath is prayer, the shampoo is ceremony, the steam is rebirth. That fusion is exactly why the system held for thousands of years without anyone enforcing it. Nobody needs to be nagged into hygiene, when hygiene is how you honor everything you believe in. One more thing must be said plainly. The inipi is a living, sacred rite that belongs to the Lakota people, protected, practiced, and passed down to this day. What we can do here is witness it historically, with respect. And while the lodge purified the whole body, daily maintenance came down to the details modern people assume are recent inventions: toothbrushes, skin care, even insect repellent. They had all 3. When Europeans arrived, they noticed something uncomfortable about native mouths. The teeth were better, visibly better. 17th century European dental care was grim. The man later called the father of modern dentistry was warning people against cleaning their teeth, and common folk scrubbed with rags dipped in salt or soot. Native nations, meanwhile, were running a complete oral hygiene program. Frayed wooden chewing sticks worked as toothbrushes, the same technology used across China and Southeast Asia at the time. Fresh herbs, like mint, were chewed to clean the mouth and freshen breath. Some peoples rubbed charcoal on their teeth to whiten them. Sound familiar? Charcoal toothpaste is on your supermarket shelf right now, marketed as an innovation. Crushed sage, mint, and other herbs became tooth powders. boiled herb infusions became mouthwash, and a plant called goldthread was used on the gums of teething infants, a numbing plant remedy for a problem every parent on Earth still faces. Then there's the skin. On the humid Gulf Coast, French travelers in the 1700s recorded that the Natchez people coated their skin with bear grease, and the Europeans mocked it, wrinkling their noses at the smell, writing it off as more savagery. In 2024, scientists finally tested it. A peer-reviewed study put aged bear fat through controlled mosquito trials, the same protocol used for testing modern repellents. It worked. The practice Europeans ridiculed for 300 years turned out to be functional insect protection, verified in a laboratory. Sunflower and other plant oils, meanwhile, conditioned skin and hair and shielded against sun and wind. It wasn't superstition wearing the costume of medicine. It was medicine, waiting 3 centuries for the lab results to catch up. And all of it, the baths, the soap, the steam, the teeth, was held together by something bigger than personal habit. The camp itself had rules. Here's a question hygiene documentaries never ask. How do hundreds of people, dozens of dogs, and a season's worth of food waste share one campsite without an outbreak? The answer is that cleanliness didn't stop at the skin. It was organized, communal, closer to law than to preference. Waste had its place, kept away from the water people drank, away from where food was prepared. Camps on the move solved sanitation the way no European city of the era could. They left. When a site had absorbed all it should, the village packed up, and the land was given time to recover. Compare that to 17th century London, throwing its filth into the same river it drank from, and you start to see which system deserved the word advanced. And the system covered every member of the community, including the ones in diapers. Because yes, there were diapers. On the plains, a baby laced into a cradleboard was packed with absorbent, disposable, fully biodegradable padding, soft moss, shredded juniper bark, cottonwood fluff, cattail down, sometimes with fragrant herbs mixed in. Soiled padding was simply replaced, and it decomposed back into the earth. Museum collections document all of it. The Arapaho took it one step further, with a solution that sounds shocking until you hear the logic. Finely powdered, thoroughly dried buffalo manure, packed as diaper filling. Stop before you recoil. Dried and powdered, it's sterile, soft, incredibly absorbent, and it prevented chafing on infant skin. It is, functionally, the same idea as the absorbent core of a modern disposable diaper, made from what the plains provided in infinite supply. A newborn on a cradleboard was drier and cleaner than most infants in Europe at the time. Which brings us, finally, to the question this entire video has been walking toward, the one you've been waiting for. No plumbing, no paper. So what, exactly, did people use? Let's be adults about this. Toilet paper, as we know it, existed in China, and essentially nowhere else. Ancient Romans used a sponge on a stick. The Greeks used pebbles. 17th century Europeans grabbed leaves, grass, straw, whatever was closest. Native America had a better idea, and it was growing in the fields. The corn-cob. Take a dried cob, strip the husk and silk. What's left, once fully dried, is surprisingly soft, uniform, and effective. A purpose-shaped tool, renewable every harvest, compostable by design. And here is the detail that settles any debate about whether it worked. When European settlers encountered the practice, they didn't laugh at it. They adopted it. Corn cobs became the standard in American outhouses for generations. A native solution so practical that the colonists quietly abandoned their own methods for it. Alongside cobs, people used soft leaves, moss, smooth pieces of wood, always followed, and this is the part the record emphasizes, by washing. The hand-washing habit that native communities practiced routinely took the colonists generations to adopt. Sit with that reversal for a second. The people history books painted as primitive had the softer, cleaner, more renewable solution, and the self-declared civilized men learned it from them. So, quick question before the final chapters. Of everything so far, the foaming yucca root, the lab-tested bear grease, the powdered manure diaper, the corn-cob, which one are you telling someone about tomorrow? Put it in the comments. Because now, we have to face the hardest question in this entire story. If these nations were this clean, cleaner than the people who colonized them, then why did disease annihilate them? The answer will change how you think about everything you just heard. Here is the brutal truth. Within roughly a century and a half of contact, epidemic after epidemic tore through the Americas. Smallpox, measles, influenza. Scholars estimate that in many regions, the population collapse reached staggering proportions, among the deadliest demographic catastrophes in human history. And for centuries, a poisonous assumption filled the gap, that the deaths somehow proved native peoples were backward, unclean, weak. Now you know enough to see how upside down that is. The nations being destroyed by disease were, by the documented standards of the era, the cleaner civilization. The invaders carrying the diseases were the ones who feared bathing. So what actually happened? Immunology, not hygiene. These pathogens had evolved over millennia in old world cities, packed tight with livestock, where surviving generations slowly accumulated resistance and paid for it with endless waves of death of their own. The peoples of the Americas had been separated from that pathogen pool for thousands of years. Their immune systems had simply never met these invaders. No amount of bathing defends against a virus your body has never seen. The cleanest hands on the continent could not stop an airborne pathogen exhaled in a trading post. Tisquantum, the man from the opening of this video, the one who tried to teach the English to bathe, knew this catastrophe personally. He returned from Europe to find his entire community gone, wiped out by epidemic before the Mayflower ever anchored. The village the Pilgrims built Plymouth on was empty because its people were dead. The hygiene system you've spent 20 minutes learning about didn't fail. It was never the variable. And that distinction matters because the myth that they died because they were dirty is the exact opposite of the documented truth. They were the clean ones. It didn't save them, and nothing about that is their failure. Now look around your own bathroom. Yucca shampoo, sold today as a premium natural product, the same saponin chemistry the Navajo and Hopi mastered centuries ago. Charcoal whitening toothpaste, on every supermarket shelf. Plant-based skin oils, herbal mouthwash, biodegradable, and compostable, printed on packages like a discovery. Even the modern camping rulebook, camp away from water, pack out waste, leave no trace, is a rediscovery of principles native camps ran on as a matter of course. And in indigenous communities across North America today, this isn't nostalgia. Yucca is still gathered, ceremonies continue. The knowledge never died. It survived everything that tried to erase it, and it's still being passed down, right now, from grandmothers to children. The modern world didn't invent natural hygiene, it's buying it back. The colonists stepped off their ships, convinced they were bringing civilization to savages. 400 years later, the record shows who bathed daily, whose teeth were healthier, whose babies were drier, whose camps were cleaner, and who had to be taught to wash their hands. Today we print it on labels: natural, organic, sustainable, zero waste, and pay extra for it. They never charged for it, they simply lived it. If this story rearranged something you thought you knew, subscribe, because that's what this channel does. we rebuild how people actually lived, and every episode, another myth doesn't survive the evidence. See there, winter is coming to the Great Plains. Temperatures are about to drop far below zero, and we're going inside the tipi to find out how a cone of buffalo hide kept entire families alive through blizzards that would kill a modern camper in hours. See you there.